Greetings, chess aficionados. Another tactical idea. Let's clarify once and for all what's a bad bishop in the middle game, how you can generate this for your opponent and take advantage of a piece bad position. Now, this particular lesson will be incredibly useful for all my primary school students, for my younger audience at the beginning of their chess career. But make no mistake, actually, it could be proven very useful for absolutely everybody. Just a kind reminder of the notion, the concept of bad bishop. Okay, so from chess kids out there to secondary school students that are still studying the game and love playing it, that would be very useful. Okay. Now, in this position here, black had played from c8 over to a6, the bishop. Obviously, the intention is for them to activate and make the bishop very much an aggressive, attacking, active piece. Now, knowing that, we have a very, very good move that would actually stifle, would actually limit the bishop power, our opponent's bishop power. The light square dark bishop here. And what might be that move? And I very much reckon that after some looking here, if you don't see it, I'm going to tell you what the move is. b4. What does b4 do? Well, it achieves something very important in the middle game. It really, really limits our opponent bishop. The bishop on a6 here, which can't play now. Look at this. The bishop actually is blocked by its own pawn because, by chess friends here, a bishop is bad when they are blocked, ideally, by a pawn. That means it itself became a pawn. The bishop itself became a pawn. Look at this. They actually cannot play. And even if they were to be moved on b7, again, it will hit its own piece, and then again, there is a pawn here. Okay, so they will need a couple of tempi to actually getting that bishop to do something. So that's important to understand. If your opponent pieces are not active, they practically, in a practical fashion, we might say they simply do not exist. Okay, they don't do nothing. They are not efficient. Let's go for another example here, guys. Okay, so assuming they took and you're doing better here with white. Again, not a guarantee you're going to win the game all of a sudden because you deem that bishop ineffective, but it's an important detail. Okay, another one. Let's just hover over this position here. Black took that pawn, and just ask yourself if you are to stick with the theme bad bishop. You can see that the black bishop here on c6 actually would be incredibly eager to just cover all the light squares, leading to particularly the g2 square in front of the king here. So that's getting a little bit dangerous. And if you just think about all sorts of maneuvering and readjusting of the queen, we might have a little bit of a problem here. So we need to make sure that this bishop actually is not that active as they want them to make it. So what might be the move? There is a move. If we play something like knight e2, all of a sudden, oh, that's getting interesting. Yeah, of course, they can. If they want to push the pawn, they can. But what do you think your response would be? You're actually going to take that pawn with the knight, and you're targeting the bishop with the knight, okay? And that would be a very good way for you to try to counteract that bishop's presence on the diagonal. And again, quite promising and very good for white to proceed in this fashion. Okay, now, if rook always aligns with your queen, now we go towards another theme. This is an open file, rook a to c8, striking on the c file. You better be careful about that queen. Never leave the queen subjected to discovered attacks. Okay, so we're going to play something like queen b3. You're going to safety. If they push the pawn, you are going to take a pawn, and ultimately you're having 6 pawns versus 5, and your knight will be targeting the bishop. That's good. You're doing better than black in this position. Next move here. Okay. So, possible continuation here, guys. What do you think we should do? Should we trade this bishop or should we move away? Let's analyze this. Again, very important details for our middle game success. Who's more active? The bishop on b5 or the bishop on d7? Well, the bishop on b5 is definitely more powerful than the bishop on d7, who currently is blocked behind the pawn on e6. And even if they were to make it on c6, it does make a bit of a difference. And if they go on the back rank, that would be a disaster, blunder, because you just simply take it straight away. But in this particular position now, we have to decide, do we take the bishop or move away? And the correct answer is, do not trade your active bishop, because the bishop on b5, it's a very active, powerful, dominating piece. Don't trade your beautiful bishop for the idle bishop on d7, who's currently a bit stuck, but instead put it to good use. The bishop on b5 will be moving now to d3, eyeing the rook on f5. So the rook on f5 was 5 points, okay? So now the rook on f5 has to move away. Okay, and you attacking, we're saying in chess, we attack with tempo. We are forcing our opponent to play a defensive move. We've just attacked a piece of theirs. So now the rook has to move, and you're dominating. Imagine you're going to plop this knight on e5, further stifling your opponent's developing moves. The bishop, where does the bishop go? What's the bishop going to attack? Where does the black knight going to develop? And so forth. So all these little details, they matter so much. Knight attacking g6, bishop taking g6, getting very juicy, and probably you're going to be able to amass more pressure on g6 respectively at some point. Good. Next one, guys. Okay, so the exercise continues. Rook f to e. Of course, I'd assume b4 would be also a very good move to play here, to have played here for white. I don't see why not. Because b4, in case knight wants to develop c6, might be proving very useful in pushing b5, because your rooks are connected and you're actually frustrating that knight at some point. Another subtlety down the road. Just mention them. Okay, now, pawn played d6 to d5. What do you think might be the move now to make this bishop on b7 a bad bishop, bad boy? How do we do that? Actually, if they become active, you know, that would be in quotation marks bad boy in a good sense for black here. So let's just keep them very much blocked and ineffective. How do we do that in this position here? Let's try push this guy forward, because if we're doing so, the bishop now hits its own pawn. Therefore, they can't be effective. They do not attack. They're being blocked. They become a pawn. The bishop blocked by a pawn, it itself became a pawn, a bigger pawn, and that's good. That's how we want it. Looking for another exercise here. What do you think? So white had played castle short here, and if I am to stick with the theme, which is the bad bishop, I can see that this guy would be very eager to attack along the a1 h8 diagonal. So I don't really want to allow that to happen. Might we have a pawn that actually blocks the white pawn in front of them? Of course we do. We're going to push the d5. Going to push the d5, blocking this guy. Okay, whatever they choose to trade, we're going to replace that pawn, and the bishop is blocked. Okay, now, what is white's bishop? Oh, the guy on d3. Is this bishop active? It sure is very active. Look at this. I don't like that bishop. I absolutely do not like that bishop. And you know something? I got to do something, if I can, to trade off that bishop with my not doing so much bishop. The bishop on c6 here is not doing very much. And frankly, it blocks my own rook on the c file, where, very honestly being put, I'd like to double up my rooks powerfully, dominating the c file. But this bishop of mine just stays in my way. And not just it just blocks my rooks, but also, could I find a way to trade this dangerous bad boy looking at h7? Of course I can. And the move would be bishop to b5. Now, if they try to, I don't know what, but definitely I'm going to take this guy. Definitely I'm going to take this bishop. They can't move here, can't move here, can't play here, can't play here. And if they take here, by the way, that's just a blunder, a bluff. I'm going to take that guy. I'm going to win the game. So that bishop is going to be traded. So if they have a good bishop and you have a bad idle bishop, trade them off. Okay, you're going to thank me later. Okay, let's try another one here. Oh, I see. White's intention is the bishop on b2. That is indeed very dangerous. We need to address this little threat here. We mustn't allow this to happen. Can I play something with tempo? Of course I can. I'm going to attack a piece, create a threat, determine a defensive move. Then I'm going to block this guy right on b2, and I hope they're going to stay there forever, as long as forever it's playable, applicable in chess. Whoop, I'm very happy with e4. What does e4 do? The pawn is defended by the rook. The pawn attacks the knight. The knight must move. This is a must move, so to speak. If you lose a piece, practically you kind of lost the game, so to speak. Even a pawn at some chess master level. But anyway, nevertheless, the knight has to move. And when they do so, I'll actually make sure that this pawn is very much defended with a brilliant tactic move here, d5. Ooh, I just love this one for quite a few reasons. I'm blocking the bishop on b2 behind its own pawn, made a very beautiful pawn structure. Look at this one. All the pawns look for each other. Connected, beautiful pawn island, nightmare for your opponent. And more bonuses. The bishop attacks the h2. And if I manage at some point to either get a queen to h4, that would be so good, so good, so good. And all sorts of threat, all sorts of threat. I mean, this is looking so good. I absolutely love it. And if they play something like this, maybe at some point I might be able to even jump here. And it's just looking so good that I even regret it's not a real game over the board or online, that I might win and enjoy the flavor of this victory. Okay. Guys, let's not digress too much here. now I'm having white, my opponent's bishop here on d6. It's really concerning. Really is. I mean, whoa, wait a minute. That guy, I don't like it. What about my bishop? Let me look. Let me scrutinize. Yes, the bishop on b2 actually doesn't do nothing. My bishop is bad. That bishop is actually quite good and very effective. I want to get rid of that bishop. Give it a few seconds. Pause the video. And think yourselves, what on earth can I do to get rid of this superb black bishop on d6 with my not so many good things doing bishop on b2? And of course, you could play something. Whoop, see, bishop a3 here. Well, if they want to move away, I'd happily take the rook though. Okay, I would take the rook in this position here because that would favor myself, giving me very much power. And anyway, I'm taking just the quality. I'm taking a rook, more powerful now applicable here than the bishop. Yeah, you got to pay a little bit of attention of a potential battery in between the bishop and the queen acting along the h2 b8 diagonal. But now if you trade off, take that bishop or making them move away, that would be just great. Okay. So now if they take, you take back. Just remember, if they ever play this kind of stuff, just remember that the queen now eyes your rook and you need to moving back to safety. Just don't forget this kind of ideas. Guys, I hope this is useful. The concept of bad bishop, it's a tactic that you just need to master it for your middle games. And I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. I think I've been as clear as I possibly could. Save the video, make a bookmark, something on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Share the video with your friends. Give me your comments and tell me what exactly concept of the middle game you would like to deepen for the future videos. Let me know. Appreciate the feedback very much, guys. And see you very soon. More chess stuff coming.